Hi, I'm Jennifer Bizarre, and I'm the Assistant Director here at the Cummings Center. Often when we think about psychological apparatus, we think of really intricate items, things like the brass and glass of the 19th century or more sophisticated computer models of recent years. And I think that's why I love this object so much, is that what's unique about it is its simplicity. It is literally a black shoebox filled with wool. And it wasn't because there was a secret society of psychology knitters, although I'm still looking for one, you never know. Instead, it was actually a test for colorblindness. The test itself was called the Holmgren worsteds, or Holmgren's wools. The test was originally created in the mid-1870s by a Swedish physiologist named Fritiof Holmgren. And he created the test in response to a train accident that was believed to have been caused by a driver who was colorblind. And the test originally had this very practical purpose, but was later adopted by a number of different disciplines, including psychology, and was used both to diagnose the different types of color blindness, but also as a way to explore color vision within the laboratory environment. And the test, as I mentioned, is really quite simple. It comes as one of these shoe boxes. A couple of different companies would make them and brand them appropriately. And inside, you would find a series of these little bundles or skeins of wool in different colors, with 3 larger bundles that were your sort of test colors. And so these were going to be the ones that were, you were going to match the individual different tones of the smaller bundles to one of these larger bundles. And depending on the mistakes that you made in pairing them, that would identify whether or not you had something like green color blindness or red color blindness or whatever it might be. And one of the things that is particularly fun about the items that are in our collection, they were all donated by the University of Tulsa. They were created about 1910 by the C.H. Stolting Company out of Chicago. And one of the things that's really fun is that you can actually see the use of these tests over time, the wear and tear. So not only are the boxes in various conditions of sort of stability, there's pieces that are broken off, there's edges that are missing, there's tape that's been added to them, some of the labels are missing, but also the skeins themselves, each of which would have come originally with a little metal tag that was stamped with a number inside of it, and that number would help to identify, it was sort of a coded number for the psychologist or for the test giver to know whether or not the person was making correct matches or incorrect matches. But these have been replaced on the items in our collection with handmade labels that have actually been written out sort of in pen on each of them. And there's a variety of these of different sizes. So either there was repairs over time or simply, using the items that they had available to make those repairs. So again, sort of a rather simple test, and yet had sort of these multi-purpose options to it. Some of the problems with the Holmgren's wool test was the fact that it was such a simple item. So each of these skeins over time was subject to fading of color. And there were psychologists who wrote about this that were concerned about whether or not that would affect the test in the long run. So there were eventually other tests for color blindness and for color vision research that were developed, often in print material so that they were less subject to fading. But the Holmgren's wool test remained one of the most popular tests for color blindness for quite a number of years in the early 20th century. I think it goes to show that sometimes the simplest of items can also be some of the more interesting ones. Thanks.